Recording is on.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Hi everyone. Good evening. Good evening from Nigeria. Trust we're having a great day. So, yesterday we assigned our first practical session, and that was really about. Thank you, Esther. And that was really about HTML and CSS. We looked inwardly into how to build UIs using HTML and CSS, and I'm so glad seeing everything we are doing on Discord channel. I even saw someone send some helpful materials and all of those things. That is very amazing, and that is very encouraging even to others. And I hope everyone is also trying their best to also get more knowledge and get better at this. So today we'll be continuing on this, and what we'll be doing today really would be about completing the whole portfolio, still using HTML and CSS, right? And we'll look at how we could also put these codes on GitHub, just like Miss Aisha said earlier. So we look at how we can put it on GitHub. I'm hoping there will be some time so that we could also deploy, and you can also get to deploy your site online and get to have links you can share to people and show them what you've done and even put it on your social media, just as Miss Aisha has said. So I hope you're ready, like I am. Get your VS Code and let's delve right into it. So I will share my screen shortly, and should be able to see my codes just in a bit. All right. So do let me know when you can see my screen. Mm, Okay. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. So, um, okay. Okay. So, just like yesterday, remember we started out with HTML, how you start writing your HTML document, how you start with your A tag, how you write things in the body, that tag, and all of those things, right? And we have started showing what we wanted to see. And let me try to open. Yes, so just like yesterday, as we know, we looking at redoing, we're looking at replicating this page, right? And this is what we have just right now. So we'll be continuing with this, and we'll be seeing how to get things done just like this. So let me close this. So I just have this and this open. Okay, good. So if you have your VS Code open, just like I do, all you need to do is click. If you can see my cursor um, over here, click on Go Live. I'm trying to split my screen so I can see the meeting in the second screen. Okay. All right. All done. Okay, so my cursor is over here. So if you click on Go Live, basically what happens is that a server is started for you, right? And you would get the link. Ideally, it just opens it in a new tab. It just opened mine, but it opened on my second screen. So I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to paste the link over here, and I'm going to refresh. and that's what we have. So if you did that, you should see it open your a link like this. However, this kind of link, you realize that this kind of link, if you send it to your friend somewhere in the USA, if he tries to open it, it's not going to show anything. It's going to show maybe an error page or something, because this is what we call a local link. Okay, this is what we call a local link. It's not something that is accessible on the internet. So that's why I need you to stay to the end of this class, and so you can see how you can get to deploy your sites on the internet. Okay, so we are done the role section yesterday. Now, what we'll be doing next is we are going to be adding this glowy backgrounds in the hero. Now, how do we get to do that? Basically, what we're going to be doing is in our header, all right, in our header section, you know that I said something yesterday that not header, rather in our hero section, I said something yesterday that over here, we if you were going to have element that will be floating around, if you look at this element, for example, you see that it's floating around. This is just somewhere at the top, this is somewhere in the middle, bottom, somewhere at the right. You get it's floating around. So because of that, you want the container that is holding all of those elements to be a position of relative. What this does is that it makes sure that it is able to what hold other elements that are absolute. So what these elements are, they are currently absolute positions. All right, for them to just be able to float around and stuff, they are absolute position. So they have to be in a relative, they have to be absolutely relative to a parent container. And this is our what parent container, which is the what the hero section over here. All right. So what we then do now is we'll add the div for the glow, all of those glow backgrounds. So first of all, everything should be in a container. So we have a div called what? We'll give it a class called hero glow bg, more like hero glow background. All right. Then that's the container for all of the glows we'll be having. Then now, how many divs are we going to create for these glows? How many divs are we going to have in total? Who can tell me? How many divs are we going to be having in total for each glow? How many divs are we going to be having in total? Who can tell me? Anyone? Fastest fingers. Who can tell me? How many divs are we going to be creating? Four. Why four? Anyone? Five. Where my why five? Okay, last chance, last chance. Who wants to give you the last shot? Who wants to give you the last shot? You're close, but it's not four, it's not five. Thanks, Rono. Thanks, Rono. It's three. So the blue one, the purple one rather, the blue one, and the more like a pink kind of glow over here, right? That's three. Okay. Thanks, and thanks for everyone that attempted. Thank you. It means you're following. Okay, so first of all, we are going to have the first glow, and we'll call it um glow. Um, so we just call it this glow up. So this glow up is going to have a style that I want to reuse. You'll see what I mean by reuse. I explained it yesterday, but you'll still see what I mean by reuse once again. So I'm going to have glow up one. So I'm going to duplicate this. To duplicate, um, you do shift alt and the arrow key down. If you're using a Mac, you do shift option and arrow key down. So if you're using Windows, shift alt and the arrow key down. So for this, I'm changing it to two, and for this, I'm changing it to three. Let me increase the size of my, yeah. So I hope it is well visible to all. I hope my screen is well visible to all. I try to increase the size a bit. Okay, so now I have three glow ups and I have our main glow up class. Okay, so what I then do is I come here next, and then I'm basically going to now start giving our styles for the glow ups. So I'm just going to come here first, and I'll say what the glow BG. First of all, I need to style it. So say what dot hero glow bg, right? Which is what the container, right? The container that all of our glows would be in. So I'll say position of what absolute. Remember, absolute. This is relative because this is what holding the absolute content. All right. So that they are absolute based off this what hero. All right. This is what they will be referencing as their constraints. So now we are going to say top of what zero. So that means from top it should be what zero from top. Okay, let me give this a border so you can see what it looks like. So you see something very very tiny here, over here. Can anyone see it? Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Somewhere something very tiny over here, like a very small dot. That's the element right now. Yes. So thank you, Rema. So that's the element over there. All right. So let's keep starting it. So left of zero. So left of zero, make sure that it's on this side. But if I give you right of zero, for example, you see it come over here. So can you see it now? It's no longer on this side. That small dot is now over here, just tiny here. So but we want it to be left from zero. So we say left. Then oh, someone can't hear. Yeah, can someone help me respond? So width would be 100%, right? So now you see width of 100% now makes it full. Okay, width of 100% makes it full, and now height of 100% to make it what also what full. Now you see why it's not just full to the end of the page; it's full to the end of the hero container. So you see the reason why we need to have a position of relative here. Thanks, Esther. You see why we need to have position of relative here. So when you put position of relative, it makes sure that whatever absolute container you have, it is relative to the element you have set as position relative. So if for example I remove this, see what happens. You see, it goes up. But when I put position relative, it just makes sure that that is its boundary. Exactly, that's the word. That is the boundary. Okay, boundary is the word that I think we can all resonate with. Okay, so now pointer events is under very nice what's it called, property we should know of. So it basically tells us that okay, on that event you should not be able to point on that event. So it just the element will be there, but our mouse would not be able to have anything to do on that event, on that element rather. Do you understand? All right, Maxwell. I hope you can hear me now, Maxwell. Okay. So next would be Z index. I think I explained what Z index is yesterday. Can anyone quickly in one line tell what Z index is, or you can mute a mic to also say what Z index is? Anyone? Anyone explain what Z index is in a very simple way?
When
When
you put
you
elements,
is that
I said it's like to stack and overlap elements, like one on top
yes.
of another.
Perfect, 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 perfect. Where's the clap emoji? Perfect. Thank you so much, Jamila. So basically, Z index is used to stack elements. So let's say, for example, you have five elements on each other, and you just want one to show maybe at top, and you want another one to show under. If you put a higher Z index for the one you want to show at top, it shows at top. You put a lower index, Z index, it shows under. Do you understand? So, but for this one, we just want it to show like at the base level. So we are putting zero. Do you understand? So now um we have styled the container for the glue bg, which is this guy. Okay, now right now nothing interesting. Then next we want to what go to glow up. So we style the glow up and we say what position absolute, right? Because that's also one, the up is, each of them are glow ups, and
Recording is on.
they are going to be absolute position all around. Okay, so we are going to have what border radius also 50%, and we are going to be having what filter. The filter is also going to, now this filter First of all, this border radius is what makes it rounded. I had mentioned that yesterday. What makes it rounded. So if you don't have a border radius, it won't be rounded. Okay. Now the filter is what makes us have this blur. So I will not put the filter just yet. Right. I will not put the filter just yet. We'll put it later. So let's say opacity 0.6. Opacity is what makes it faded. Okay. Animation is now we're gonna call the animation float. We're going to say 8 seconds. And okay, let's not give it a animation yet. We'll come to that later. I just want us to see the base level first, how it's going to look like. So now each of these elements, 1 2 3, will take this style glow up. So we are reusing this style, all right, because we believe that this style is going to be applicable for the three elements. However, each of those glow will now start styling each of those glow. For example, glow up one. We then come here, we start glow up one, and we say, well, the first glow up should be what? Width of 400 pixels, height of 400 pixels. That's like a perfect square. So the background. Now this background, I'm not just going to be using a normal Xcode, but I'm going to be using what we call linear gradient. Linear gradient is one in CSS that allows you to be able to use two colors. Okay, so you just basically specify the degrees and you specify the colors. I'm going to use 667 EEA, and then specify the second color 764 B2 BA2 and 100%. Then from the top, we want this one to be minus 100 pixels from the top. Minus 100 pixels from the top. So when you say minus 100 pixels from the top, see, for example, if I say 0 pixels from the top, see what happens. It's going to start from the top, just like this. It's going to start from the top. But when I say minus 100 pixels, it's going to enter the top. If I say 100 pixels away from the top, it's going to be 100 pixels away from the top. Do we understand? So minus 100 pixels from top, that's it's going to be inside, like inverse. Do you understand? So then we are going to have left of minus 100 pixels. So you would have guessed right if you said that it's going to enter inside from the left too. Okay, then how do you want to delay the animation? We want to probably delay the animation by no seconds, 0 seconds. So immediately the animation starts. Then second glow up two. Glow up 2 is going to be what? Having a width of 300 pixels. It's going to be having a height of, so you see this is a smaller one. Then it's going to be having a background um linear gradient also. Linear gradient also 135 degrees. It's going to be having a color of F093 FB, and second color of F5576C. If you remember in our former class where I told you about this color being what? Who can tell me what color type this is? Who can tell me what color type this is? Who can tell me what color type this is? X. Thanks, Jamila. Thanks, Jamila. Thanks, Jamila. X color code. Thank you so much. So top 50 pixels from the top. And now this one, this time it's from the right, is about 10%. Thanks, Esther. Thanks, Esther. So now you can see where this one, you see how beautiful it is. 50 pixels from the top, then 10% from the right. So you see that we are not using pixels this time, we are using percent. So this will mean that 10% from the right is 10% out of the whole width that we have here. Do you understand? Then what animation delay do you want to give some? Maybe you want to say, oh, minus 2 seconds. All right. If you are following through, please give a thumbs up. If you are having the same results, give a thumbs up. I love to see all of our results too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so we have the width of 250 pixels, 250 pixels, height of what? Height of 250 pixels also. Then we are going to be having the background of linear gradients, and we're going to be having 135 degrees, same 135 degrees. And we are going to be having what? For the color to be 4A CFE 0 degree, and other color here F2 FE, the light blue, yeah, 100 degree. So bottom, this one is going to be coming from bottom this time, minus 50 pixel, okay, and from the left of 30%. Then the delay for the animation is going to be what? Minus 4 seconds. Now see this one, see where it's coming from. So you can see the three shapes now. We now have our three shapes. Now we now need to make them float. We need to make them have that very, very slow transition. So what we do is, first of all, to create your transition, you have to create something we call what? Keyframes. Call them keyframes. And when you have keyframes, you need to have an identifier after your keyframes. So you are going to call the identifier what? Float. Okay. So for your keyframes, you don't specify the times for each um for each times they are. You want to specify the what you want them to do. So I want to say that, oh, when it's on 0% and 100%. So 0% means when it's starting, 100% means when it's finishing. So 0% and 100% do this, 25% do this. You can specify anything per any percentage you want. So I'm just going to say 0% comma 100%, right? Transform, then translate 0 comma 0, then scale 1. So what this means is that what? Translate x axis, y axis, don't move. 0 0, don't move at all. But scale by 1. Scale by 1 still means that what? Maintain your actual scale. Okay. By default, every element has a scale of what? 1. Okay. Every element scale is 1. So if you make the scale 0 point something, that means you are saying you should what? Shrink to be smaller. If you make the scale 1 point something, that means you say make it bigger, or 2 point something. Anything more than 1, it will be bigger. Anything less than 1, it will be what? Smaller. Okay. Now 25%, we want the transform to be. So all you can just do is, if you are coding alongside with me, just copy this like this and paste it here. Then you can change this one to what? 20 pixels, and change this one to minus 20 pixels. So you are trying to say that what? Move 10%, 20 pixels on x on y-axis, like vertically, and the other one horizontally. So basically you want to now say it should really move the position this time. Then for the scale, you're then saying that what? It should be 1.05. Okay, it should be a bit bigger, just a bit bigger. Now 50%, want to say what? You're gonna copy this again, paste it here. I want to say, well, this should be what? Minus 10 pixels, and this should be what? 10 pixels. Should be, yes. So once, what I was trying to say earlier is that keyframes will, first of all, when you specify your keyframes, you specify them with a what? Identifier. For this one, float is the name of the identifier. You see when I'll get to use it now. Now for those keyframes, you can specify what the elements should do per time. Okay, 0% means when it's starting out, this is what you want it to be doing. 100% means when it is ending. When something starts, something will start from 100% to end at what? Sorry, something starts from 0%, then ends at what? 100%. You understand? So maybe in the middle could be 25%, or almost at the middle 25%, in the middle 50%. Then when it's almost ending, could be like 75%. But when the end is definitely going to be what? 100%. So you want to say that, oh, at this point, this is what you want the element to be doing. Do you understand? So that's what keyframes does. Do you get it, Jacqueline? Okay. So now I'm going to make this 0.95. That means you want it to shrink a bit. Then this part, I'm going to make it 75%. Then I'm going to copy this guy, paste here. I'm going to make it what? 15 pixels. I'm going to make this one 15 pixels. Thanks for that question, Brian. We're beginning that tomorrow. Beginning that tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Okay. So now we have all of these keyframes, right? So what we now do is, how do we use this animation? You see that right now nothing is really happening on our element. Our element are still static. Yes, this is all for this hero aspect. All of these keyframes is just for the hero aspect, just for you to move. Just for you to move. So now let's then add the animation. Now, when you're adding animation, you add the name of the animation. So this place, you put the keyframe identifier that we just specified. Then you put the duration, how long do you want this animation to run for. Then you put the way you want it to run. So we have different ways. So this is in out, you have that. Then if you want it to never stop, you put what, infinite. Okay, so can we see this now? Okay, so now what we then do is that we'll make it faded. We'll make it faded so you can see how it's moving, right? And all of them are moving at different, they are moving sort of random. Okay, but they're using the same animation thanks to this animation delay we have specified here. Thanks to this animation delay. So now what we then do next is we are then going to um blur it. How do we blur it? All we basically need to do is we basically need to what, add a filter, right? We add a filter and call it blur. I'll make it what, 80 pixels, and there we have it. Okay, and that is basically what we have here. All right, so I'm going to remove this border because I'm done showing us what I want to show us there. Okay, so now we move on to the next. Now the next thing would be what, implementing the about me section. So basically we are just going to go over to that. Just like, we create the section, and then we start by creating the div for the container. Then after we create the div for a container, we create what is going to be in the content. Okay. So we realize that in this container, two things are there. First of all, the content is here and the image is there. So we want to create two divs, one for the content and another one for the image. Okay. So for the content, what are we going to do? We are going to be having what? Our h2 and our what? Paragraph text. Okay. Actually multiple paragraph because we have paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and paragraph 3. So we are going to be having h2 about me, and then first paragraph. I have the snippet for that, so I'm just going to paste that here to save some time. So this is like a paragraph for this. Okay, so after that, what we're then going to do next is that we are going to be putting the image. Remember our tag. Who can remind me the tag for image once again? What tag do we use for image? Thank you. That was very, very fast. That was very, very fast. Thank you, Jamila. So now we use the img tag, and we have our src, and we also have our alt. So this src is going to be the link of your image, while this alt is going to be like a descriptive text. Okay, for your image, it's always good to have a descriptive text for your image. So what we will just do is we'll just say the person's name. What name are we using for this? Okay, use the name, and we say what, full stack developer. Okay, I hope Elite is on this call. Oh, I see you, Elite. Okay, great. So then we now put an image. I don't have your image, but I'm going to just have to use the one we use for this. All right, so we have this particular image, and we have this, and we have all of this. Okay, so Elite, I hope you're following so you can get to update this once it's on GitHub. All right, so after that, what we then do next is that, yeah, thank you. What we then do next is that on the section we'll have the class, and we start putting the class. We also have the ID. I will show you why we have ID in the Jiffy. Then now, okay, I think I can even show you now already. Remember, we put something like this when we're linking our elements. We put something like a hash before the word. So this is also referencing an ID. Okay, this is also referencing an ID. So basically, this is ID of about. Okay, so what this does is that it just helps us to be able to what navigate just like this. You can see that. So see something, if I, for example, I remove this ID here, this guy would not be able to reference, will not be able to find the ID anymore. So if I even come here to click on about, nothing happens. You see that? Nothing happens. So that is the benefit of putting this ID. All right, so then what we're going to do next, we're going to have class, we're going to say about container. Then we are going to come over to this part, and over here we are going to have it as well, the content. Remember I said this is the content. Okay, and then we basically use the content to just what style this one. We don't need to add classes to each of these elements anymore. Then for this one we are going to call it what, the about image. All right, and that is basically all. Now next we now go to is what, the CSS. The CSS. So now what do we do? Basically goes to the end and we start. Now, just like we have in HTML, I told you about HTML content comments, we also have CSS comments. And to write CSS comments, you do a slash, then you do an asterisk, then an asterisk again, and a slash to close the comment. So for this, I'm just going to say about section. Okay. So this is just for us to be able to say, oh, this is where I'm starting the about section. It's always good to have comment like that, just so that you can track what you're currently doing. So when you say dot about, you have padding, just like we had yesterday. Padding for the top and bottom, 8 pixels, left and right 0. So you see space at the top. Space. I hope you guys remember the box model I spoke about yesterday. Very, very important. Please don't forget it. Please always, you can go back to check the recording for that. It's a very, very key thing you should understand. How your padding works, how your margin works, and how your border works. Okay. Great, 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 great. So now, next thing we are going to look at is what? The container. So the container is going to have a max width of 1200 pixels. That's to mean that what is going to be cut short. But who can remind me, what do we use to ensure that it is centralized? Centralized. Who can remind me of that? So we can bring this to the center. Who can remind me of that CSS property that we use to make it centralized? Not display center. Not display center. For this, it is not yet a flex element yet. It is only a normal element that has a maximum width. No, no, no. Yes, margin. So margin auto, but not entirely margin auto. We then say what? Margin. Then we say what? Is 0 for top and bottom. Then auto for left and right. Oh, someone has the mic. Please mute your mic. So we then say auto for left and right. Saying auto for left and right will automatically make it centralized. Okay, guys, please don't forget this. Very important. Please, can that person mute their mic? I think that's focus. Okay, okay. So,
Yo,
okay. Anyway, so
I don't know who is unmuted, but please can you mute your mic? Thank you. Focus, please mute your mic. Thank you.
apparently, focus isn't making me focus. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Okay, so padding next, we're gonna have 0 for top and bottom, and 40 pixels for left and right, and we're gonna have display to be grid. Okay, and then now display is now grid. So that's the container. See, I think this is the first time I'm using grid, so please let's take note of this. Then next we are now having what, grid template columns. Remember I told you about the fact that grid template column will allow you to be able to specify the sizing. Okay, so we say, well, this is one FR, and this will allow us to ensure that each are what's having the same the same spacing. Okay, the same spacing. So say for example I said 2FR. So you see this has 2 and this has 1. If I say this is 3FR, it takes 3 of the space and probably 1. So this is just there. So let's just say 1FR, 1FR. Okay. So what we're going to do next is that we're gonna have gap of 60 pixels. We're gonna have align items of center, and that is all on that. So then we now style the H2 element and we style the P tag. So how do we style that? Remember that we have that on about content. So what we basically just do is we come here and say what about content H2. Then we change the font size to be what 32 pixels, right? Make it a bit bigger. Make the font weight to be what 600. Make it bolder. And make the what margin bottom to be 25 pixels. Okay. Okay, so it just gives a margin and pushes the rest of it to a little bit. The next thing we do is same thing for p tag. Do this p, and we say what font size to be 14 pixels. Say that a little smaller. Color to be 555, slightly too faint. Then margin bottom to be what 15 pixels. Okay, because each of them are standalone, so we want to shift the other ones to the bottom. Okay, and we just change the line height a bit to be 1.8. You can see that. Okay, so and that is just like what we have here. But who can tell me the difference we have between these two? Anyone? Anyone? Quickly. Let me scroll to where it is also. So who can tell me the difference between these two? Anyone? Going. Thanks, Ronald. Thanks, Albert. Thanks, Ronald Albert. Yes, the image has a this one has a rounded corner. So what do we use? What CSS property do we use to make it?
Recording is on.
What CSS property do we make it? Do we use to make it rounded? Anyone? Um, I don't know. Okay, someone's trying to say something. Yes. Border radius. Thank you, Abdulatif. Thank you, Abdulatif. Border radius. So, yeah, thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Esther. So, we are then going to have the width of this image to be 100%. So you see that's going to fill the whole one FR we add. And we're going to say, oh, we want the maximum width to be what 400 pixels. Okay, just so it's not so big, right? So we still have some space here. Then we're gonna say what the height should be 450 pixels, right? Almost a square, but not a square. And you realize that the image. What do you think? Who can tell me what happened to the image just now when we added this guy? Who can tell me what happened to the image? It looks like it's string. Yes, yeah, it's exactly. Thanks, Abdulatif. It's string. So what do you do to ensure it doesn't string? You basically have to what put the object fit of what cover, and that just makes the image cover the whole container. Okay. So then you have a border radius, and you have what 8 pixels, and that just sorts the border radius. And here we have it. Here we have it. Okay, so next we are gonna be moving into is the what services aspect. So here's where we're gonna be mentioning the awesome services that this person offers, and let's delve right into it. If you are actually writing these codes right now, can you give me a thumbs up? If you're writing these codes right now, if you're writing just as I'm writing them, can you give me a thumbs up? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Anyone? Anyone? Thank you. It's good to see that we are actually coding along. You see, guys, the best way to learn these things No matter what you're trying to learn in software engineering. Okay, yeah. Let me do that, Jacqueline. Bad talk. I hope this is what you want to see, Jacqueline. Okay. So no matter what you want to learn in software engineering, especially coding, right? Always ensure that you're coding along. When you code along, you are able to, um, you know, understand, what you are trying to write because you're writing it and you're seeing the results. Do you understand? But if you just watch and you don't code along, you may not know some things. You may never you may not be able to see the result of some things that you're doing at that time. You understand? So it's always good to code along, guys. All right. Yeah. So let's continue. Okay. So next we're going to be having is the services section. Um, who can tell me how we write tags for HTML? So I want to write tag for services section. Who can tell me how we write tags for HTML? I told you how we write tags for CSS over here. Who can tell me how we write tags for HTML? I think I had mentioned that either yesterday or on our previous class. Anyone? 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 Okay. So in writing your tags, use the less than sign first, use the exclamation mark, use two hyphens, and your code editor should complete it for you. But if it doesn't complete it with two other hyphens and what your greater than sign. Then in between, you have what you want to write, services section. Okay, just like that. Voila. All right. So okay, so this is comment. This is to write comments. Comment are things that see it as sticky notes that you want to just have somewhere around your page, just let you know what you are currently doing, or things that you are trying to do and things like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. So that's what comments are. Okay.
Recording is on.
All right. So I'm going to be starting this section. Going to write in the class services, then ID to be equals to services. Please ensure you write it as services. If not, it will not pick it from here. Okay. Now, next you have is the div. I specify the class to be services container. Then you then have what h2. Then you have my awesome services. Okay. Then so this is going to be the container of the old services, and you remember that what we have currently over here is a container. Then you have your h2 first, you have your paragraph next, then you now have like another container over here that will hold each of these services. And see this nice beautiful over effect, guys. Very, very beautiful over effect. All right, so what we're going to just do next is we are going to put your p tag. I'm gonna say what that one should be called a class of services subtitle. Okay, so let me just copy what we have here. All right, then next after this we are now going to have our other container, which is for this one. Who can tell me what we are going to use for this layout? The container, who can tell me what we are going to use for this layout? Like the css that we use eventually for this layout. Anyone? We could use flex, but yes, thanks, David. Display grid. Display grid really works best in this scenario, but also flex is also a very correct answer. Okay, but we'll be using grid for this, just so I show you how grid will work for this also. So I'm just going to be calling it services grid. Then next off, I'm going to be having a card for each of them, and I'm going to be saying what for each one. I want to have what a div called class of service grid. So you notice something, I just use services grid, a plural, and for this one I use a singular. So we're having four of these. All right. So first of all, what are we having? The icon. We're going to say what div of class service icon. Then we are going to then have the SVG. So I have the SVGs. I've had the SVGs before now. So I'm just going to copy them. In fact, let me show you how to get SVGs also. So when you open your new your file, because you may not have SVG, if you are coding along, this is why I'm trying to show you this. So say for example, you open, just go to lucid.dev. When you open lucid.dev, you see view all icons, right? Then when you see view all icons, this one looks like um a phone. So we just search for phone. Okay, sorry about that, guys. There was a disruption. So I copy the SVG. Then what I do next is I'll paste it over here. Okay. Once I paste it over here, next is that's all for that div. So next thing we are now going to do is we are going to be putting what the title. Okay, so we are going to be using what a smaller header, which is h3 app design, and then lastly we are going to be having another text down here. Then we are going to be using a p tag for that. A p tag for that. So we're going to say p tag this. Okay, a minute, guys. A minute. Okay, I'm back. So next thing we are going to be doing is that we are going to be um, creating the second tag. All right. So I had made a mistake earlier. While we have services grid here, let's use service card, not service grid anymore. Service card. So what we will just be doing is for a faster workflow, guys, because beyond knowing how to code, you need to also know how to do things smarter. Okay. So since you know that this same card is going to be used for these multiple places, we are going to what duplicate. We are going to be duplicating. So what we're just going to do is going to copy this and we are going to paste here. Now this is a laptop or a computer design. So what we just do is we do computer. Now lucid dev, and I think or let me start with desktop. Okay, let me just use this. So I'm just going to click on this, copy SVG. All right, it's a little different from this, but I'm just going to use that because of time. So we are just going to remove this SVG, replace with this one, right? And then we will then copy what we have here, web design. So we just say web, then this is this, just this. Okay. Then next one is illustration. So just like we did for this one, we'll copy this. Oh, we'll copy this, paste here, and then we change the SVG. This is illustration. Let's see if we can see illustration. Illustration. Let's see pen. Oh yeah, pen has it. So copy the SVG. I think it's very similar. Then we'll remove this SVG here, paste it here. Then we'll close this SVG. Then we'll copy what we have here. Then we'll paste here and paste this. Paste over here. Okay. Then lastly, we have brand identity. We'll just duplicate this again. Brand identity. I think this looks like a book. Let's search for a book. Yeah, book. Okay. So basically, what, paste the SVG here. I hope you guys are able to get this SVG too. Just the same way I showed you to get it. I hope you're able to get it. I'll copy brand identity. I'll copy this one here. Just for speed, you may not need to write this whole thing entirely if you are following me. Just write something and you can always update it, okay, so that you don't um get left behind. All right. So the main thing is to be able to style it and it's for it to look like what we have here. Then you can always update all of this text. Okay. So this is what we have currently. So now we are going to go over to what, styling it. Now we go over to services, and then we have our comments. Our comments use a slash, forward slash, asterisk, asterisk, forward slash again to close. And we say what, services section. Okay, and we start here and say what, services, padding of 8 pixels on the up and down, 0%, 0 on the left and right. Background should be what, white, which is what, FFF. FFF. Then next we would say services. Now this is for the services container. We have maximum width 1200 pixels, margin of 0, auto, padding of 0, top and bottom, 40 pixels left and right. Margin once again so that we can centralize it, right? Then text align would be what, center. Text align will allow the text to what, be in the center. Okay. Now next we're going to do is we are going to what, style the h2. So the h2 tag, which is what, this text at the top here. So we are going to click on this and say this h2 and say font size to be 30 pixels, font weight to be 600, margin bottom to be 15 pixels, and that's what we have for that. Okay. Then next we will then say services subtitle. Then gonna say font size. So the services subtitle once again is what we have here. Okay. So which is this text over here. So services subtitle will then be what, 14 pixels, a little bit smaller. Color will be 555. Max width will be 700 pixel, and then we also make it centralized. Margin at the top will be 0, centralized, and 50 pixels on bottom. Okay, just like that. So that 50 pixel make sure that it moves the other elements down further. Okay, so now next up we are going to go to our grid, which is what our grid container over here. Then we are going to have this, and we're going to say what services grid. Then we are just going to say display for that should be grid, and grid template column should be repeat. Now this is also another way to write grid templates column. If you don't want to just say one FR, one FR, one FR, one FR, you can say what? You can say repeat 4 times one FR. Okay, and that just works great. All right, so gap would be 30 pixels, and that gives a gap in between each of them. All right, now next thing we are going to be doing is we are going to be having a service card, a service card, and now we are going to having a padding for that. So padding for each of them is going 30 pixels, 20 pixels. So if you look at that, you see the 30 pixels, 20 pixels, 30 pixels for top and bottom, 20 pixels for left and right. For those that did not uh, were not in the class when I talked about this extension, this is called the pesticide extension. Extension, and it helps you to be able to see how your content are structured in your HTML, and you can see how neatly your content are structured. So most times when your content are not structured well, you may be able to see it when you use what um pesticide. So next we are going to have is the completion of the styles for the service card. So we are going to be adding a border, border of 1 pixel, solid, and like a gray color, just a very faded gray. So if you check over here, you'd see that grayish color there. Then we are going to be having what a border radius of 8 pixels. That's to give it a rounded corner. We're going to be aligning the text to center, and then we are going to be having a transition box shadow. So this transition is basically you're specifying what transition you want to do. You will still come back to this box shadow, then 0.3 seconds, how long you want it to go for, and then the easing formats basically. So we just have this. That really does not change anything just yet. So next up, we're going to go to how we want it to be when you over on it. Remember I mentioned about pseudo classes, pseudo selectors, right? So we're going to be doing that. And then this is for shadow, to give the box a shadow. So we're going to have 0, 5 pixels, 20 pixels, and then the gray color. Just now, remember this RGBA color code where we can specify the color for red, black, red, green, and blue. Then the stands for alpha. Alpha to ensure that you can fade it or you can make it very bold. So 0, 0, 0 would mean that you want it to be black. So let's see. So you can see how dark that shadow is. But when we add the alpha value to it, so like 0.08, it makes it very faint. So you can see that very faint color now. So if you try it and you see it's so black, that means you need to add the last alpha value to it. And you need to make sure it's RGBA. So the next thing we are going to be styling is what? The service icon. So we're going to be styling the icon. Then we're going to be using width of 50 pixels, height of 50 pixels, margin 0 auto 20 pixels. I'm sure we know what this means. And we're going to be using display of what flex. So now display of flex, just so that the icon, we are able to position the icon. You know, the icon is inside a container, which is this container. This is the reason why you should be using pesticide. This is the container. So we want to make sure that the icon itself is in the middle of the container. So let me just on this down so we can see how that works. So now when we say what align items center, see what happens. It brings it to the center. Then justify content center brings it absolutely to the center. You can see that now. You can see that now. So now that basically is what works for that. And then we have background color of a very light shade of gray. Okay. And then we have this border radius finally. So let me refresh this. Yeah. So we can see how that works. So moving on, we are going to be styling the SVG itself. The SVG is that icon itself that we pasted earlier. So what we're just going to do, we are going to be styling the SVG, and then we are going to say what we're going to give it a width of 24 pixels and height of 24 pixels also. Okay, and that's just going to resize it a bit. Then next we are going to style the H3 and we're going to style the paragraph. All right, so for the H3, we are basically just going to say what H3 is inside the service card, no longer icon. So it's now inside the service card. So we use the service card, select the service card, and we say H3. I want to give it a font size of what 16 pixels. I want to give it font width of 600. We want to give margin bottom of 12 pixels, right? And then we want to say what the paragraph should be font size of 13 pixels, color should be a light gray, and line height should be 1.6. And let's see what we have. Yes, so this is what we have now. So the text are smaller, they are not so bold, and then the H3 text is bolder than the P text, and basically we just have it just as it looks here. Okay, so I was saying I was going to talk about this box shadow. So this box shadow, basically the transition for this box shadow was to specify what CSS property you want transition to work on. For example, if I remove this, see what happens. You can see how sharp it is. It's not fading when we add, just like when we add transition. So this transition helps for you to be able to specify that, okay, um I want the box shadow, when the box shadow is coming in, I want it to come in with a different feel. Okay, I don't want it I want it to be animated, that kind of thing. So when you specify things like that, then you want to use things like transition property, and you specify that CSS property you want to actually animate, and specify the duration and the easing format you want to use. Okay, so that's for the services. And with that, we have done the services, and what's next is the work experience before the footer. So this work experience is a little bit dynamic from what we have been doing before, because all we have been doing has just been quite straightforward. But work experience now has this whole part and this whole featured work aspect. So we have to ensure that we are building it the right way. Okay, so back to our HTML. All we are going to do is we are going to have to create a new section for work experience, and then excuse me, then we have to create the two contents for left and right side. So first of all, we are going to create a section. We're going to call it class of what experience, and we're going to say what the first div should be what class of experience container, right? um so the whole thing is about experience, so the whole thing is going to be in the experience container. Then next we are going to say what we want to have content for this part and content for the featured work. Okay, so first div is going to be class of experience contents. Then the next one is going to be um featured work. Okay, so express content this time we then have several things, just like we have here. It will have the header text, the h2. It will have a div for this, another div for this, another div for this. All right, so we are going to have in this experience content, we are going to have the h2 tag. We're going to have work experience. All right, work experience. So this is the part where you get to talk about the things you have done, places you have worked, right, and the times you worked there. Okay, and what you also did while you were there. So we are going to have each div called what experience item. So I need you to take note to how I'm naming these classes. It's very important to name these classes. You name your classes in a very descriptive way. Okay, it's very important. So I'm just going to be having the item now, and then the first one is going to be what is going to be the header. So experience header. All right, that's a class, and in the header we have what the
Recording has stopped.
this big text, and then we have this text over here to show the time that they work there. Okay, so I'm just going to say senior UI designer, just like we have on UI. Okay, and I'm going to show a span text, and that's going to have a class of experience dates. Then let's say February 2022 to present. All right, now we're then going to have another p tag, say class of what where the company where the person worked, experience company. Okay, so that's going to be wire shore agency, just like we have it here. Then we are now going to have lastly the p tag, which is going to be what the experience description. So that one is basically describing what the person did while they were there. Okay, experience description. So we are just going to copy it and paste it here. All right, so that's basically what we have here. And now what we are now going to do next is we are going to what duplicate this. So first of all, we just duplicate this one, then we just copy what we have here, paste it here to save some time. So for anyone following me right now, just duplicate it maybe 3 times, and once we have the code, you'll be able to just update it. So because writing this will take some time. All right. That's the second one, and the third one is a graphic designer. And then the agency the person worked, and then what they did. So that's basically the three experiences. So now, next thing we are going to now work on is what the featured content. Okay, the work the person had done so far. So what we're going to have here, we're going to have the H2 text. That's that big text over there that says my featured work, right? We're going to have a P tag for the class that says the featured subtitle. That's this text over here. Then now we are not going to have this layout. You can tell what we are going to use for this layout. You can tell what we're going to use for this layout. For this gallery. Gallery layout. What do we use for a gallery layout? Thank you. Thank you, Jamila. So very correct. We're going to be using what the grid for that. All right. So let me paste the subtitle here. We're gonna have what's work gallery. Then for the work gallery, we're gonna have this. So this one we are going to call it large, and we are going to call the other ones just normal work item. Okay. So the first one is an IMG tag. So we are going to I have the images link, so I'm just going to paste it there. All right. Then the alt, I'm also going to paste the alt. So next off, we are going to be duplicating this just like we did before. So this one is no longer going to be large. We're just going to be having what the images, and each of them has work item alone. All right. So I'm going to duplicate this. Just going to update this to the mobile app UI. So I'm just adding the images at this time. I'm adding the images at the moment. I'll share you the link to this whole thing so we can all see it. We can all click and use. Okay, so almost done. Two more images. So let me copy this, paste the images, and paste the alt. And the last one, paste it and paste the alt. So let me I just hope it's all correct. So let's see what we have here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, all correct. All correct. All correct. But lastly, we also have a button. We also have a button, and that button is just going to be below our work gallery, because if you check over here, it's just below the gallery. All right, so we're just going to have it here. Say button. Class is going to be btn all works. Let's say all works. Okay, so we can see the button over here, looking not so fine just yet. So now we get to dive into CSS, and we get to what style our experience section. So experience, just like we have for others, padding 80 pixels up and bottom, X on left and right, so we see the spaces that show up. Then we're going to say what experience container, is going to be what maximum width of 1200 pixels, margin of 0, left and right auto. Then next we're going to have is padding of 0 and 40 pixels left and right. Then next we're going to have is display grid, because we need to ensure that the layout is done properly. So just like we had for about me section, we're also going to do grid template columns of one FR twice, just so that they have same ratio to each other. Then we have gap of 8 pixels between them. And next, we are going to be starting with the H2 tag here. So we are going to say what experience content this time. H2. We're going to say font size of 32 pixels, font weight of 600, margin bottom of 40 pixel. All right. Basically, we're gonna have that. I'm gonna say experience item is going to be margin bottom of 35 pixel, padding bottom of 35 pixel, and border bottom of 1 pixel, solid, and EEE. So you see that this is going to give it a padding, border, and a margin. All right. Remember our box model. So next we are going to have is for the last chart, you see that this last item is having the same thing also, because we are giving it to all. So there's also another pseudo selector that is going to enable that you can specify the last child. Okay, and you just say but border bottom of what, of none. So you don't have that anymore. All right. So now I want to start each of them. So that's the experience header. So we'll come over here. See experience header, display of what flex, justify content of space between, align items, of center, margin bottom of what, 5 pixels. Okay, that's what we have here. So just like I said yesterday, display flex, you know that is going to make it what, side by side. The justify content is what's going to put the space in between and make each of them go far away from each other, and the space is just going to be in between. Then align items is going to ensure that they are aligned horizontally to the center, and then margin bottom is just going to give that space on that. All right. So next we are going to be editing the H3, which is this. So we are just going to say what experience header H3. The font size would be 16 pixels. Font weight would be 600, and that will just be it. Then experience dates, that's the date that is on the right hand side. Font size will be 13 pixels. Font width would be 600. Sorry, color rather would be 555. Yeah, so something like this. All right. Then we are going to edit this company also, so it's just a little bit smaller. So we're going to say what experience company would be font size of 14 pixels, color of 555, and margin bottom of 12 pixels. So you see how small that is now. Then the experience description would be font size of 13 pixel, color of 777, line height of 1.7. See how nice that looks. Okay, so we are done with this work experience. Now over to featured work. All we have to do is we're going to be styling this aspect, featured work, the h2 tag. So we're just going to come over here, going to give the comments and say what featured work. Going to say what featured work h2. Make the font size a little bit with 32 pixels. Font weight mean 600. Then margin bottom mean 15 pixel. Then text align being center. Okay, so you centralize the text. Then we say what featured subtitle, font size of 13 pixel, color of 555, text align of center, margin bottom of 30 pixel, line height of 1.7. Okay, then lastly, or almost lastly, we have the work gallery. So a gallery is going to be what? Work gallery, display grid template columns. So we are going to just say repeat to 1FR. Okay, and we are going to say gap of 15 pixel. All right, this is what we have so far, but we still keep updating. Now the image, the work item image is going to be width of 100%, height of 180 pixel, right? So we are already trying to like constrain the size, the object fits just so that it does not shrink, to cover, border radius to 8 pixel, and then we want to make sure that we can add some transition to it. Transition transform 0.3 seconds is all right. So work item, but now this time dot large. Remember that the first one we made it large. That's over here. The first one was large. So dot large. I'm gonna make the column. We're gonna say grid column. It should span with two columns. It should span two columns. Okay. I need to remove the space. Yeah, span between two columns. Okay, and that basically sorts that. And then the image itself of the large elements, want to ensure that image itself, the height is what, 250 pixels and not 180 pixels. So you can see it's a bit longer. Okay, so next we are going to say dot work item. For all the images, when you over on them, you want to say what, transform scale. Scale, remember I said scale makes you shrink or make things bigger. So this one we are making it bigger, so you can see how that is. All right, so lastly, this button over here, we're going to start it. I'm going to say dot btn all works. The background color is going to be 1A. The color itself is going to be FFF. The border is going to be none. And then the padding, 12 pixels top and bottom, 24 pixels left and right. All right, and border radius is going to be what, 25 pixel. And then font size is going to be 13 pixel. Cursor, now cursor pointer, remember to ensure that the cursor changes when you over. That's why we have the word cursor pointer. And then we have the margin top of 25 pixels, and then we have the transition for background. We want the background color to be the one that we are animating. After 0.3 seconds is, then we had what, the over. The btn all works over. Then we say what, background. The background should be 333. All right, so you see that little fade when we over on it. All right, so next, we're almost done. Be having the footer, so call this the footer divider, and then after a footer divider we have the contact section, and that would really be it. All right, so we are then going to create the next section, which is a div. Class is going to be what, footer divider. We're going to have under div. Class will be what, the divider container. Then the span element will be what, edit, and then on that span element here will be what, full stack developer. All right, so let's style this quickly. Oh, sorry, this should be divider. So footer divider, we'll come over here, have dot footer divider, and then basically style it. So it's going to have a border at the top, 1 pixel solid, border at the bottom, 1 pixel solid, then padding 20 pixels at the top and bottom, 0 on left and right. All right, then the container, then that's divider container, we're going to be max width of 200 pixels, margin of 0 auto, padding of 0, 40 pixel, display flex, just so we can space the content between each other. We use our space between, and then font size of 13 pixel, and then color of what, 555. All right, so you can see what we have here. They are now spaced between each other now. All right, so lastly, we are going to be putting the last section, which would just be calling our contact section. All right, so really would make that our footer, since that's the last part of our page. So we'll just use the footer tag, class footer, id to be footer. So we'll also update it here. It shouldn't be, sorry. Okay. So we'll also update it over here in the header. So this should be footer. Okay. So next we are going to have this text. So before then we are going to say what, a div for the container, footer container, right? We're gonna have a h2 text which says what, let's work together. just the same way we are coding together. So let's work together. P tag, which is the one below here, which is going to say together we can make your vision come to life. Then we are going to have a button after that that says let's talk. So we are just going to have a button, so let's talk. Then this button class is going to be btn talk. Okay. Then next we are now going to have our what? Social links. All these are the social links. All right. So we are going to have the social links. We're going to call it class social links, and then we're going to have each of them with our a tag, which is our link, as we all know it. So we put dribble. After that, we put a span tag for the slash. Then we duplicate this. So like I said earlier, Shift Alt will help you duplicate it. So I'm just going to copy all the links we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to replace that. Okay. So this really is the end of the HTML. Then we get to update what? We update the CSS. All right. So we start with the footer. First of all, we start with our comments. And we say what? Footer section. So we say what? Dot footer. We have a padding. Padding is going to be 8 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixel left and right. Background of what? 1A, 1A, 1A. We have the color of what? White. We have text align of center. Then next we are going to be having what? The footer. Let's check it now. Footer container. Copy that, paste it here. So let's see what we have so far. Okay. So footer container, we have max width of 600 pixel. We have margin of 0 auto to centralize it. Padding of 0 at top and 40 pixel left and right. Let's see what we have. Okay. Then we are gonna have dot footer h2, and then we're going to be having font size of 36 pixels, font weight of 600, margin bottom of 15 pixels. Okay. And then we are then going to be out styling the p tag, dot footer p tag. That's the p tag we have over here. Okay. P tag, we're going to have the font size to be a little bit smaller, 14 pixels. We're going to have the color to be AAA. We're going to have the margin bottom to be margin bottom to be 30 pixels. Okay. Yeah, just like this. Then next we are going to start is the button, which is the btn talk class. So we're just going to have that style, the btn talk. We're going to have background of transparent. We're going to have color of white. We're going to have border of 1 pixel solid 555. We're going to have padding of 12 pixels at the top and bottom, 10 pixels left and right. We're going to have border radius to make it rounded of 25 pixels. We're going to have the font size to make it smaller, to make the text smaller for 14 pixels. Going to make it cursor pointer, margin bottom, just so we can give it a space under the button. Then transition all 0.3 seconds is all right. So your button now becomes this. All right. So lastly, we want to style these links. Before we start the links, when we over on the button, let's give it some over effects. The BTN talk over. We are going to say border color of FFF, background of white also, and color of dark gray. Okay. Then lastly, the social links. Social links are gonna have font size of 13 pixels. Gonna have color of 1A, 1A, 1A. Sorry, we're gonna have it as 888. That's also under gray color. Then, inside the social links, you have a tag, which is our links, right? We're gonna have social links of A, then color being what? Sorry, 888, and transition. We are transitioning the color because the color we want the color to animate a bit when we over. So we put that transition, and then we say social links A. When you over on the A elements, what should happen? You want the color to become what? White. So when you over on it, you can see that it now becomes white. All right. So um that really takes us to the end of this whole thing. Who is excited about that? That really takes us to the end of the whole thing. Let's Before that, let's style this span element. The span element in between should be to have a margin of 0 and just some margin left and right of 10. So this takes us to the end of this tutorial. However, your tutorial your web page does not end without us having responsive design. Okay, if you inspect this right now, it looks a bit good but not the best. You can see it's not the best on mobile. So responsive design is also come next. So um what I'd say is we would try should we deploy the sites today and do responsive design tomorrow, or we'll do responsive design today and we deploy the site tomorrow? What do you guys want? Anyone? Because
Mr.
we
Simi,
can't do
how about
both.
we deploy it today and do responsive design tomorrow? Because I feel like responsive design will still
All
take
right.
its own time.
Yes, it will take quite some time. Okay, sounds good. So let's deploy today. So how many of us have been able to create our GitHub accounts? Show of hands. Anyone? How many of us has been able to create the GitHub accounts? Okay, okay, great. So what you do is you go to github.com. All right, you go to github.com. It's still loading. The page is still loading. One sec. So for me, here is mine. So basically, go to repositories, and you want to create a repository for your projects. So you click on new, then you click on specify. Let me just say OneDev portfolio. but you can call it my portfolio or something, anything works. So you can put in a description here, um, portfolio websites. Okay, and then you can choose the visibility. So I'm going to leave this as public. That's the default. You can choose a template, but we will not use any template for this. And then you create the repository. So the idea of repositories is that the repository holds where your codes will be. Okay. So for me, since we already have an existing code, we want to push the existing code into the repository. So all we need to do is we need to just copy this line, this line. So you use Ctrl D to open your terminal, your VS Code. Then you add your repository here. So what's it saying? Okay. Um, let's do git init first. Okay. So let's add this repository. Okay, this has been added. So if this is showing master, you can configure. So you can use this to configure the default branch name. So I'm just going to set it as main. Yeah. So okay. So I'm going to rename this branch from main to master, from master to main by doing git branch -m, then main. Yeah. So then use this last command to push. So you can see over here all your changes. So you basically add your changes here. So this one generates a comment for you, a commit for you, or you can also type a commit here, style, add CSS styles. Okay, you basically don't need to send this, but you really can just discard this file. You don't need the settings.json. Then you just push it. So once you do git push dash u origin m, what happens is once you refresh on your repository, you should see it up here now. Okay, and if you are on any other computer, if you change your computer, all you just need to do is to come here, you click on this, and you do what? Git clone, and you paste the link, and it's going to clone that project into your computer. Okay, but I don't need to press enter here because I have a project already on my computer. All right. So now to now get a link that you can use, you can either use GitHub pages. There are a lot of applications you can use to deploy. There are a lot of services you can use to deploy applications online. But for today, I'm just going to be using Netlify. Netlify.com is a very great tool you can use. So I'm going to be using this tab. Yeah. So login. So you can now log in with your GitHub. Okay. So if you should log in, you can just log in with your GitHub. If not, you can just press login with GitHub. So I'm going to be importing an existing template. I'm going to be importing with GitHub. Okay, one sec. Let me use a different account. Let me click login from here. Oh, it's still logging me in here. Let me sign out. So I'm going to log in with as Latif says, he has a couple of all right, so the rest. Don't worry, ours will be responsive by tomorrow. Okay. So I think I have some, yeah, I have some pages here. Okay, good. So I'm going to add import a project. So we are going to select GitHub. Okay, so we have been authorized, and we're just going to look for the project that we just added. So this is it. Okay, so we are just going to we can specify the project name. So OneDev portfolio, or let's say um, HTML portfolio, something like that. Okay. Um, tutorial. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So when it's deployed, this is the kind of this is the link you'll be able to use to give anybody, and they will be able to see your portfolio. All right. So we don't need to do anything here. Just deploy. So you'd see this. It tells you uploaded, and you wait for for a bit, and in some seconds it's done. In some seconds it's done. You click on upload production deploy, and here you have it. And just like that, you have been able to what deploy your Netlify. You have been able to deploy a web page to what Netlify, and it is up and ready for anyone to check. So if I drop it in the comments now, even on your mobile phones, you'll be able to what check it out, and you'll be able to send to people to see what you have built. All right. So that said, this brings us to the end of today's class. By tomorrow, we'll be working on the responsiveness of this project to ensure that it is a responsive on mobile screens and on smaller screens. And then I hope to see what you have done. And thank you for staying on the class. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Simisola. I mean, we had 20 people on this call at a point, and at a point we now have like 16 people, including myself and Mr. Simisola. So I want to say, for everyone that's still to the end of this class, you guys are the real MVP. Like, it shows that you guys are just ready to learn by nook or by crook, right? So, Mr. Simisola, I'm trying to load Mr. Simisola's file from here. And to be honest, I can see it is absolutely beautiful. And one thing I want you guys to do, right? This would be your take home assignment, please. I know the 16 people that are on the call because I'm screenshotting right now, right? I know the 16 people currently on the call, and I will look for you guys in the community. I want you guys to also deploy your own and share the link to your deployed website on Discord tomorrow, please. I would make sure that I share this recording very early in case you need to follow up. So share the link to your own deployed website on Discord tomorrow. Thank you so much, Mr. Simisola. I don't know if anyone has a question. I think this is the time for you to ask your questions if you have any. Hi, Jamila, you can ask your question.
Hello? Okay. Yes, when we're working on the page, like we don't have to do it like exactly right. Like we can like customize it like to how we want it, like kind of make it our own. Is that okay?
Okay, Mr. Simisola, can they customize it to their own?
Yes, yes, very much. Please customize, use your name, use what you do, and customize it so that when you put it out there, it resonates what you do. Okay, that is very very important. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Use your own colors, use your name, use your design. Just make sure that you're submitting something on the Discord channel tomorrow. Also, when you submit, please make sure you post. Honestly, all these things that you're doing, posting it even on social media is like a proof of work for you. I mean, if I want to tell somebody that, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I am an aspiring front end developer or a full stack developer, and I want to show them evidence to prove, these are the things I would show them. Okay, this is a site that I have worked on before or that I have played with in the past. I mean, somebody seeing that will have the confidence to actually say, okay, let me give this person a try. Let me give them a try. Yes, a try. Let me give them their first chance. Let me give them a shoot at something. So please make sure you work on it and put it out there. If you don't have a GitHub account, open one this night, sign up, and deploy your website. Thank you very much, everyone, for staying till the end. It's already 8:01, and yeah, the final class is tomorrow before the what's it called graduation on Thursday, and tomorrow we'll be doing responsiveness and maybe a little bit of JavaScript. However, if you still want to go intense in this training, definitely we have the paid one coming in January. So thank you very much, guys, once again for joining. I would see you guys tomorrow. Do have a wonderful night rest. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you tomorrow.